Thank you for joining the Federal Program Compliance Division's statewide virtual training. Every Student Succeeds Act, Title IV Part A, Subpart 1, Student Support and Academic Enrichment. This is the Title IV Part A LEA Special Data Collection Smartsheet WorkApp Instructions, January 2023. This presentation is intended solely to provide general information and guidance to Texas ESCs, LEAs, and participating private schools, and reflects the Texas Education Agency's current understanding of statute and applicable federal guidance. The content of this presentation is subject to change as a result of further potential information and guidance provided by federal agencies with regulatory oversight of these programs. This presentation does not constitute legal advice, and entities are therefore advised to seek legal counsel regarding the information and guidance provided in this presentation before acting on such information and guidance. This training session will cover the Title IV Part A Smartsheet WorkApp Instructions and support for assistance and resources. Title IV Part A Smartsheet WorkApp Instructions. Please note the LEA staff submitting the information will need access to the Department of Grant Compliance and Administration WorkApp system. Currently, the Superintendent, Chief Financial Officer, and Federal Program Director listed in Ask TED have been given access to the system. To add or change the individuals with access to the systems, someone with the existing access must request access for the new individual by the help form in the Edgar Smartsheet WorkApp. The additional staff to be added to the system must agree to certain security requirements. I have also included video instructions for requesting the additional LEA staff that you may view. I will share that currently there are very few LEAs staff in each area that has access to the system. LEAs that received a Title IV Part A allocation for 22-23 again are required to report in the Smart app January 17th through March 17th. The information requested for submission during the special data collection process may not include all forms of documentation that are required to be maintained locally. If eligible LEAs do not submit the required information by the deadline, LEAs will be non-compliant and may be referred to the TEA Compliance Officer and/or the Federal Fiscal Monitoring Division for further review. The login to the WorkApp system. This will be the first page that the staff that have been granted access will see to log into the WorkApp to collect the data as needed. The staff will click on the Federal Program Compliance Division WorkApp tile. Then click on the Title IV Part A Objectives and Outcomes link, as you see here. Click on the Federal Fiscal Year 2022 line to access the Details Form Data tab. That is where the LEAs will begin to enter data. Complete the Details Form Data tab, the LEA Program Contact Information. Complete the fields with the information for the LEA Program Contact. The LEA Program Contact should be the person that is most familiar with the information being submitted. This is the person that TEA will contact if additional information is needed or if clarification is needed on what was submitted. The following fields are required. The LEA will type the name of the contact, the email address, and the phone number of the person who could be contacted. All LEAs that redirect 100% of Title IV Part A funding by funding transferability and/or the Rural Education Achievement Program must certify that they redirected 100% of their Title IV Part A funds to implement other programs and are required to submit WorkApp data. On the REAP Funding Transferability Options page, the LEA will select the appropriate response from the drop-down list for the following question. Did the LEA redirect 100% of its Title IV Part A funds under Funding Transferability and/or the Rural Education Achievement Program, REAP? A response from the drop-down menu is required. If yes is selected, skip to step 5, which is the certification statement, and save your data. If the response is no, the LEA must complete the remaining data fields. LEAs may review and update, if applicable, the pre-populated response that was reported previously from the drop-down list for the following question. Did the LEA redirect 100% of its Title IV-A funds under Funding Transferability and/or the REAP program? A response would be required. So if there are any changes throughout the school year to REAP and/or funding transferability that would include 100% of the funds, or the district decided to keep the funds, they would be able to go in and revise this particular item in the WorkApp. LEAs must complete the objective and measurable outcome 1. Once submitted, the LEA will not be able to revise program objective and measurable outcome within the WorkApp box. The goal is for an LEA to keep the same objective and measurable outcomes throughout the year unless there are extenuating circumstances supported with data and/or immediate changes to what was previously submitted. If that is the case, the LEA may submit comments that could include any revised program objectives and measurable outcomes. LEAs must also complete the objective and measurable outcome 2. Once submitted, the LEA will not be able to revise the program objective and measurable outcome within the WorkApp box. Again, if there are any changes or any needed change to the objective or measurable outcome or other comments, the LEA may put that information in the LEA comment box. All Title IV Part A subgrantees are required to check the certification statement. I hereby certify that the information contained in this report is, to the best of my knowledge, correct, and that the LEA named above has authorized me as its representative to submit this data. I further certify that reported program activities were conducted in accordance with all applicable federal and state laws and regulations, application guidelines and instructions, the provisions and assurances, debarment and suspension, lobbying requirements, special provisions and assurances, and the schedules of the approved application for funding. The question is the LEA staff submitting this report in agreement with the certification statement above? The LEA must certify yes. After the data has been input into the system, the LEA must save the message, must click on Save. If the Save button is grayed out and inaccessible, a required field is missing information. A blue Save button indicates that all required fields have information. Then the LEA will click on the blue Save button to keep the information. This step is required for all LEAs, including those that have transferred or reaped 100% of their Title IV Part A funds. And lastly, the LEA should sign out of the Department of Grant Compliance and Administration WorkApp system by clicking on the icon located at the bottom left-hand corner of the window and selecting Sign Out. An LEA at any point in the year can reap or transfer throughout. The LEA may increase percentages, but not decrease percentages throughout the school year. So there is no way for the federal program compliance staff to know if 100% of the Title IV Part A funds have been transferred to another fund. For that reason, we're asking that question. Another important reminder is LEAs must not include confidential or FERPA protected information. All LEA submitted data will be reported publicly. And all LEAs that receive the Title IV Part A funds, regardless of the amount, must submit WorkApp data. Support for assistance and resources. The Title IV Part A resources are located on the Title IV Part A webpage under the Federal Program Compliance Division. The LEA Special Data Collection for Public Reporting section of the Title IV Part A web pages includes the Instructional Handbook of Requirements and Submission Details, as well as an LEA reporting worksheet that districts may use while preparing data for the Smartsheet WorkApp. All LEAs that applied for Title IV Part A Subpart 1 program funds are required to report information requested. LEAs can access the following resources related to the LEA Special Data Collection. Title IV Part A resources are located on the TEA webpage under Federal Program Compliance, and some of those resource documents include the January 2023 presentation, Title IV Part A Program Objectives and Measurable Outcomes, the December 2022 training slides from the Title IV Part A LEA Special Data Collection for Public Reporting. That is a more detailed report of the entire process for Title IV Part A Special Data Collection. So if you have not attended that training live or have not reviewed the training slides, I urge you to review that presentation prior to completing the information in January through March in the WorkApp. You may also find the ESA Title IV Part A LEA Special Data Collection for Public Reporting Handbook and the LEA Reporting Worksheet. All of these documents are linked on this slide so that you may get to them easily. LEAs may use the Title IV Part A program guide for specifics on the program's intent and purposes, allowable use of funds, program objectives, and measurable outcomes. LEAs may reach out to regional ESC staff who are available to provide technical assistance and support. On this screen, you can see all of the different areas in which your ESC staff are readily available to assist you as an LEA. TEA contact information. You may contact myself, Lenitra Guess. I am the Title IV Part A Program Director, through email or through phone. You may send an email to the division email address and address it Title IV Questions. In the event that I am out of the office, someone else would be able to respond to your questions. Thank you and have a wonderful day.